Hi, this is Darnell with Way Living Recipes, and this is my review of the Ninja Foodi FlexBasket Air Fryer with 11-quart MegaZone. And so, let's go ahead and get it unboxed. Now that everything's unboxed, I want to repeat, this is the 11-quart version of this cooker. Now, Ninja sells a 7-quart on their website, but for Costco, they make an 11-quart, and so this is the 11-quart variety. It comes with a few accessories, basically these crisper trays that go in the bottom of the big basket, and then there's this divider that divides the two sides, the two zones. It's a metal, some type of metal, and so those are basically all the accessories you get. Now, the paperwork, they give you a quick start guide, and it's got like some recipes and such in it, and some instructions, a lot of cooking guides as well, so a lot of cooking charts. So lots of information in there, and not a lot of pictures, but some recipes there. So let's see, how big is this booklet? It goes for about 34 pages, and then a page of notes and for you to write notes and such. Then there's the user's manual, so that's all the paperwork that you get. Now, as far as power for this cooker, it has 1690 watts, and that's not, I guess, as high as some other cookers. And for a big dual basket type cooker, we'll see how 1690 works. It is basket design, so it's not like it's trying to pump all that through a big oven. So we'll see how that works out. But let's go over the dimensions of the cooker, and Ninja gives a lot of details as far as the dimensions. The unit itself is 19.53 inches in length by 12.44 inches in width by 12.87 inches in height. The basket is 19 inches in length, 10.6 inches in width, 5.25 inches in height. I will be doing my own independent measurements of some things as well, so we'll see how it goes. They say that the crisper tray, crisper tray, is 8 inches in length, 6.5 inches in width, and 0.2 inches in height. And the divider is 8.1 inches in length, 4.75 inches in width, and 0.05 inches in height, because it's very thin. So basically, without the divider, the cooker can do 11 quarts. Without the divider, it's 11 quarts. If you put the divider in, it cuts things in half, and you have two 5.5-quart baskets when you do that. They say that you can hold 4 pounds of food in a single basket. They say that a 6-pound chicken can be held in the basket when you use it without the divider. And when you're not using the divider, they call it the MegaZone. You're using it in MegaZone. They also mentioned in the quick start guide, I noticed that using it without the divider, you could do a recipe to hold 2 4 or 5 pound chickens at the same time in that big divider. So a lot of room from what they're saying. And they say you can feed up to 8 people with this cooker. Now, they do give some details about what this stuff is made out of, so I did have a note about that I did want to talk to you about. They say that the cooking pot is made of aluminum with a PTFE non-stick coating, and they give no further details on what that coating is. And the crisper plate is aluminum with a nano ceramic non-stick coating. Again, they don't give any further details on what that is. So you've got some types of coating going on here, and it's over aluminum. And I'll just say that I wasn't consulted with when they made this, and I wouldn't, I don't have any association with any of these cooker makers anyway, and I don't want one. But I will say here publicly, I wish some of these cooker manufacturers would try and work with some high quality stainless steel instead of some of these other things. And if you research the impacts of some of this stuff on the body, you would know why I said that. I'm not saying anything in this cooker is harmful to you, but I am saying that it is a matter that you should research. And so I personally would prefer stainless steel all around, but that's my preference. The cooker has 7 cooking functions, so we'll go over those later. The temperature ranges are between 105 degrees Fahrenheit to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. The time ranges are between 1 minute to 12 hours. It varies based on function. The cooker's weight is 19.98 pounds, basically 20 pounds. So let me go ahead and show you around the cooker. I forgot to show you the power cord, by the way. It's a, looks like it's a few feet of power cord about, and it's a 2-prong polarized cord, so you have no dedicated ground wire. And I'll show you around the cooker here. So you see the front, and up top it's got like, looks like intake air vents. The sides don't have anything on the sides. The back has exhaust vents in the back and has some other air holes there. So that's a look around. So now I'm giving you a close-up view of the cooker here. So you see the front of it here, and I'll go ahead and open up the big basket, and basically I'm going to go ahead and take this divider and stick that inside, so you just see that going in. So I got little notches to help you get that in there easy, and then you can put the crisper trays in. Those go in easily, so just go ahead and slide those down in there like that. And so taking the big basket out, let's try and take a look inside here, and let's see. Yeah, let's do it like that. Now you see inside it's basically 2 heating coils and 2 fans, and I did feel as I was up here, as I was holding it, felt like, yeah, there it is. Ambient probe is right there. Ambient probe on this side is right there, and over here on this side there's an ambient probe right there sticking out. I don't know how well you can see them, but 2 little metal rods. Those are your ambient probes to measure temperature for the cooker, to keep track of temperature. And you probably can see up through the back there, through the back vents where they vent things out. The inside here is plastic. It feels like plastic. It's plastic. So there's a lot of plastic and aluminum and different types of coatings, but I think that's what a lot of these cookers are made of. Like I said, it's my preference to be stainless steel, but I don't make cookers. So that's your close-up view. Okay, so we've got the Ninja Foodi FlexBasket 11-quart next to the Ninja Foodi Dual Basket 10-quart air fryer. So it's got 2 5-quart baskets, and so basically you just kind of see, you know, with this one you get 2 independent baskets that you can pull in and out independently, whereas here you've got 1 giant basket with a divider. And basically for height, you see their profiles are kind of similar in size, but let's go ahead and do some measuring around a little bit. So if we go from the base here, I'm looking at a little over 15 inches that way. Let's go this way here. Let's see down there. That's good. A little over 15, so about the same there. Let's see, front to back to the handle. I'm seeing about, I'm trying to count for anything in the back, but there's not much. About maybe 12.5. And for the flex basket, it's got some little ridges in the back there, but still only about 12 inches. Still a little slimmer because it doesn't have these big sticking out handles, so that's cool. And let's see, let's do height also. So for height, I mean, they're pretty much identical there as far as height. You might even have a better view of it than myself. But yeah, they're about identical. I mean, it's over 13, under 14. Yeah, about 13.5 inches or so there. So very similar. This basket here, you get, let's see, 4.5 that way. You get 7. You get 9. Diagonal is 10. And this one, 4.5. And this way, it's 9. This way is 7.5. And diagonal is about 10. So hold on a second. So we got 7.5 and 9. And so here we've got 9. And no, actually that's 8.5. My bad. Yeah, I messed that up. That's 8.5. I messed up. Sorry about that. So that's 8.5, not 9. And then 7. So you get about a 1/2 inch on that one going this way. Let me measure that. Let's see. Oh no, that's 8.5 too. That's 8.5 too. So they're both 8.5. Yeah, they're not 9, they're 8.5. It's 7.5. So they're both the same size. Well, this one is 7. Sorry. Get it right eventually. So it's 7. Across is 7. Whereas across this one is 7.5. So that's where you get your extra, to get your extra 1/2 quart for this 5.5 basket. Whereas down here you get about 4.5. I think that was the same here. To get about 4.5. So yeah, so that's how you get it going across. A little 1/2 inch more going across to, I guess, give you a 1/2 quart when you're filling things up. But when you measure this whole big basket going across, it's 15 inches across there, and we already did this way, so we already know that's 8.5. Going diagonal, it's 16. That's pretty good. So, alright, so that's how things measure up side by side for these two. Alright, so now we've got the Gourmet dual basket 10 quart air fryer here, and basically you can see that the Gourmet is a little taller. I can tell you front to back it's a little bigger as well. It seems like the view up front here, maybe the Ninja might be a little wider. I'll just measure that side to side here. Yeah, that's about 15. Well, actually, maybe they're not. The Ninja, get that position here. Yeah, it's maybe about 15 there, maybe a little more here than 15, but roughly similar as far as that's concerned. The baskets on this Gourmet are supposed to be 5 quarts each, but they're a little different in size from the Ninjas. So let's see, that, as you can see, that's about 5 inches there, almost 5, not fully 5. Whereas in the Ninja you've got a clear about 4.5, and you've got across here you've got the 7.5. Whereas with the Gourmet you've got 7, and you've got 9, and you've got going across this way, you got maybe a little over 10. I mean, it's maybe 10.25 is what I would say. And here, you know, we got, yeah, maybe about 10.25 there too. So, okay. We got 8.5, so that's 8.5 this way. And 7, let's see, 7.5 that way. Yeah, 7.5 that way. Whereas here we got 7 and we got 9. So interesting differences there. And this one's supposed to have a quart more overall, or half a quart on the basket at least. Half quart more on this basket than this one, but some interesting measurements there. So that's how they measure up side by side, and you can see the differences in size of the two. Alright, so it's time for us to do the initial plug-in here. So I'm going to go ahead and plug things on in. We'll see what happens. Alright, so it's plugged in and basically it doesn't light up or anything, so we'll hit the power and it says hello. And so there we go. So now things are up and running. So now that it's on, we'll basically talk about some of these functions and whatnot. Basically you see these zones lighting up because it wants to know which zone I'm going to be cooking in. Basically zone 1, let's see, yeah, so press zone 1. That dedicates cooking to this side, and it assumes you have the divider in. If I hit zone 2, it basically, since I had already pressed zone 1, it's like doing both. But if let's see. So it seems like to get rid of, if you wanted to just do zone 2, like if I hit the MegaZone. Now MegaZone is basically if you're going to be using the cooker without the divider. So you're going to be cooking across both zones with no divider. You click MegaZone. But then if I hit 2, okay, so 1 lights up again when I hit 2. So if I go back to MegaZone, and I can't, let's see, if I turn it off, turn it back on, and then I hit zone 2, then I can do just zone 2 by itself. But it's like as soon as I hit zone 1, I can't get things back to a state where I'm only have one side lit up. It's like either I'm controlling zone 1 or I'm controlling zone 2, and I'm setting settings for zone 1 or zone 2 like it's flashing because I hit zone 2, so I can make changes for 2, or hit 1, can make changes for 1, and then you got the MegaZone if you're not, you know, using a specific side, you're using the whole big basket. But I can't get back to, like, let's say, oh, I just wanted to do side 1 and not use 2. 2 still lights up. So basically you'd have to turn it back off, turn it back on to use one side. That's pretty interesting there. So we got the power button, we got a start pause. Basically how start pause works is, of course, you hit start cooking. If you're in the middle of cooking, you want to stop, you can hit pause. You'd have to declare the side you're going to be stopping on pause if both sides are cooking. You press the zone and then you'd hit the pause button. If you hit the pause button without declaring the zone, then it's going to pause both sides if you're using both sides at once, like on zone 1, zone 2. Then there's this Smart Finish button here. Smart Finish basically is going to set things up so that if one side has a longer cooking time than the other side, then this side that has a shorter cooking time is going to wait a while until this side gets to the amount of time left that this side has, and then this side will start so that they can finish at the same time. That's Smart Finish. And then there's Match Cook, and you see when I hit Match Cook, both sides light up and are flashing, because Match Cook means that both sides are going to be cooking the same time and temp. And so basically you could do a cook where both sides do the same cook type time and temp, but you have the divider in. So you can have the divider in, maybe you're cooking 2 different things you don't want to commingle together. You would use your Match Cook. And of course you got your MegaZone that I mentioned earlier if you just want to just cook everything all in one big basket at one time in one shot. Now something interesting, if you want to end a cook on one side, let's say, well yeah, I guess we could actually light up both sides. But let's say I wanted to end the cook on zone 1 before the cook on zone 2 if I'm cooking in both zones at the same time. I'd have to select zone 1 and I'd have to take the cooking time all the way down to 0. Well, it won't go down to 0 now, but basically the way you have the cook end on a side is you select the side and you run the time down to 0, and that's how you make it stop so that it's not continuing to cook on that side. There's not like a stop button to just stop a side totally without doing that. But let's go through the different functions that cooker has. The first one here is air fry for your, it's an air fryer, right? Then there's a roast button for roasting. Then you have a bake option for baking, a proof option for proofing dough. If you want to proof dough, that big basket, you can proof dough in there, and it's got a low temp. Now, it seems like, now this is interesting, like when I went down the proof, I can't go over to, it won't go over to the other side. So to get over to the other side, I have to go up. Yeah, I have to go up past air fry, then it lets me go to the other side. But on the other side, we got reheat, dehydrate, and keep warm are the functions here on this side. And of course, you select your zone, you select your function, and after you, so like let's say this side I was going to have dehydrate on zone 2, I could use a time, I can adjust my time, I can adjust my temp, right? Then I can go over here on the other side, and let's say on this side I want air fry, and I'm going to go up to 400, and I'm going to up the time to like 30 minutes. So that's how I can have this side doing the air fry, the other side doing a dehydrate. I don't know how that dehydrate's going to work out. We'll do some temperature testing later, but it seems like if you're doing some real high heat cooking on this side, I don't know if that divider is going to be able to really separate that heat well, but we'll find out. But basically those are all the different functions that the cooker has. Okay, so it's time for some temperature testing. So I've got my oven temperature tester here, and going to put it over here on this first side. We'll test the first basket side for temperature first. And let's see, turn things on and select zone 1. And I'm going to go up to 400. And I guess whenever you need to cook on just one side, you're going to have to use zone 1, because once you hit 2, it's going to think you're doing 2. So we're going to do air fry 400 degrees, which is the max. Probably not going to do full 30 minutes. I think I'll let it run for 15 minutes and then just check what the temperature is in there. So with that, and also I want to point out this is not a button. In some of the Ninja cookers, this knob's a button, or other cookers, it's not in this one. But go ahead and hit start, and we'll go ahead and let things run for a while, and then I'll come back and check what the temperature looks like. Alright, 15 minutes, gonna go ahead and open it up. And it looks like the counter keeps going, keeps counting down, so it doesn't really pause when you open it. I thought it would. Well, we're at 400, so that's good. We're putting it over on the other side. I'm gonna go ahead and, I guess a good way to stop things is just turn it off, you know. Turn it back. I thought pulling the basket was supposed to pause it, but it doesn't. Anyway, you're going to hit zone 1 and zone 2. I've moved the temperature thermometer over there to the other side. So basically going to do, let's see, and I'm going to do both sides the same, so it'll be like a match cook. Is it on match cook? Let's see. I'm not sure it's on match cook, because both sides didn't light up as I would have expected. Let me turn it off, turn it back on. Let me try this again. If I hit, okay, now match cook and both are flashing. That's interesting, both didn't flash like they did earlier when I hit match cook. I want to make sure that they're both doing the same for sure. So we're going to do, let's see, did on 30 minutes. That goes kind of quick. Oh, something else I wanted to check. Inside here on side 2, since it wasn't on, it's pretty, I don't even want to touch it. Things feel pretty warm in there on the other side. The bottom, let's see. Yeah, the bottom's kind of hot. I put my hand there for a second. It's a little hot. So, yeah, this is Yeah, it's pretty warm on that side. Just touching the side is, I mean, it's a little hot. It's a little hot. Basically, I guess what I'm trying to say is, even though it's cooler on this side than this side, it's still pretty near hot. With the other cookers that are 2 baskets, since they're 2 dedicated baskets, there's more division of heat than there is with this one. That little slot thing is not really partitioning the heat very well, in my opinion, at all, compared to the dedicated 2 baskets. So that's something to keep in mind there if you get this with the divider. Side 2 is still going to get pretty warm, you know, even when it's not running. But what I want to do now with the match cook 30 minutes, I want to go ahead and run that. Let that go for 15 minutes with both sides. We'll see how things are doing. It sounds pretty loud. I'm going to go ahead and do a sound decibel test right now. Let me get my phone with the sound decibel checker here, and we'll see what the sound is, because it's pretty loud. So here we go. Yeah, I mean, it's in, yeah, it's steady in the 60s, you see. Steady in the 60s. That's pretty loud. That's pretty loud. So, pretty audible air fryer. Definitely loud as far as, I mean, it's loud. Dual basket air fryer loud is how loud it is. So you see there, you know, pretty loud. So I'm going to go ahead and let it run for a while, and we'll see how things are doing after that. Alright, so I'm going to pause things now. So there we go, it pauses. Temperature gauge 400, so that's cool. I'm going to let it go some more. I'm going to feel around. Up top here, feels fine. Down bottom here, fine. Keep my hand here all day, all around there. On the side, it's a little warm, but not too bad. A little hotter, over on this side. Right here. Well, no, both sides are a little, yeah, this side just a little hotter, but both a little extra warm, I said. Kind of hot there. Hot air coming out the back, but I can put my hand back there. Let's try making changes. Let's see. Yeah, so I can change the temp. Change the temp on the fly. Change the time on the fly. So that's pretty cool. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop things. Just turn it off for now to stop things. And I'm going to get this MegaZone out so I can try and do a test with, well, get this divider out so I can do a MegaZone heat test. Alright, got the divider out. The divider's pretty hot. Let's turn things back on. And you see it defaults back to that 390, 20 minutes. It's not remembering what I put in there, so there's no memory on this cooker. But I've got the temperature gauge right here in the middle, between 2 zones. Hit the MegaZone. I'm going to go ahead and up to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Time up to, well, seems like it goes real fast when you hold it, which is cool. Just gotta be careful. So 30 minutes, 400 again. We'll hit start here. We'll go ahead and let things run as a MegaZone. And I'm gonna test the temperature. Well, not test the sound again. So it's pretty audible. How loud it is. Let me try and get my temperature tester out. Yeah, it's like 65. I think it's just a little louder now, if you remember. It's pretty loud, so we'll let it go for a while and then I'll check temperature. Alright, I'm going to try and end it by taking time down to 0. We'll see if that's doable. So there we go. It's on 0 now. Doing this cool down thing. I'm going to just open up anyway. Check temp. And it's 400. So it does keep 400, you know, either side it seems. And even in the MegaZone, of course. So it does hold temp. Okay, so I'm putting the divider back in here, so sliding that in carefully. Whoops, I get it on the counter, it's still hot. So, got the divider back in. I'm going to do a toast test. I'm going to put a slice of toast over in zone 2, slice of toast in zone 1. This is my homemade almond flour whole wheat bread. You can find the recipe here on the channel. More resilient than your store-bought bread. So it takes a little more to get it to cook. So I'm going to do a match cook, and I'm going to do 400. I'm going to do 4 minutes. 400, 4 minutes. And I'm going to hit start there. And we'll see how things look in a moment. The cooker is still hot from the previous cook, so we'll just see how things look overall, how even the 2 slices look with the divider in there. Alright, 4 minutes. Alright. I put on the screen how long the cool down took so you know the precise amount of time. And Lord willing, I can get the slice out. Okay. So this is 1 slice, 4 minutes, and it was already warm. Back even got a little cook on it. So it's pretty good. Remember, my bread is, as I said, more resilient than store-bought bread, so that's pretty good. For 4 minutes, pretty good. Pseudo, it says pseudo even. I mean, it's a little of the, I mean, it's not like all brown the same, but yeah. I mean, it's like, you know, a little over here, a little over there. Yeah. It's kind of, you know, basket air fryer. So that is what it is. Alright, so I'm going to do a bake test here. And basically, because of the way that the crisper plate's set with the divider, I'm not going to be able to do something like cookies where I have the crisper plates kind of hover over top of the cookies, as I've done with some basket air fryers. You can see a whole video I've made about how to bake well in a basket air fryer. I'm not going to be able to use that method here in this cooker from what I'm seeing. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to bake some waffles. And what I do want to check real quick, because it's so big, I just want to see if like a 9-inch ramekin can fit in here, just for the sake of checking. Yeah, it's a little too narrow there to get the 9-inch ramekin in because of the rim of the ramekin. But I've got a waffle mold here, silicone waffle mold. I'm going to put that in there. And I've got some batter for almond flour whole wheat waffles. I'll flash the recipe on the screen. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and pour that batter in and try and bake up some waffles. But like with cookies, with these basket air fryers, if you can't somehow shield the cookies from the heat, it just becomes a burnt up mess. I mean, well, not burnt up, they're edible, but they're really dark and like overcooked, basically. But I think this will work out better for a bake test to see how it can do baking. I wouldn't recommend trying to bake like cookies in this though, because it's just going to be too much top-down heat. But yeah, almost got everything out. Alright, I'm just going to spread it out in here in the mold and then start to bake. This will just take a sec. Alright, got them in there well. So turning things on, go into the MegaZone. Going to do 350. Well, actually I need to get over to bake first. So bake 350. And we'll try 10 minutes. If we need more, we'll use more, but I'm going to try 10 to start. And I'm going to go ahead and let that run. Bring you back in a moment. It's kind of interesting how it started up kind of loud, but then it kind of brought itself down a little bit. So I guess for bake it does kind of regulate itself a little bit. Doesn't do the exact same thing for every function, I guess. That's pretty cool. Alright, so things have gone for the full 10 minutes and I'll let it do the cool down. Alright, it's all done. Let's see. Things look pretty good. I'm just going to tap them. Yeah, they feel done. So I think they fully cooked in that 10 minutes. That's pretty good. See if I can get them out. Silicone's not too hot to touch a little bit. A little bit. That's one of the waffles. Well, two of the waffles. Came out nice. Look good. Right. So those are our waffles. Just 10 minutes. Turned out well. I do like doing waffles in countertop cookers like this as opposed to waffle irons, because waffle irons, it's like you're getting batter all over the place and you got to clean the big bulky plates and all. It's a lot more simpler just using a silicone mold and a countertop cooker to make waffles. And although they're still very hot, I'm just going to cut a little piece off, just do a little taste, and go for a waffle here. Yeah, they're fully cooked, turned out well. Alright, so now I'm going to do a roast test. I've got a 3 3/4 pound chicken here. I'm going to put in the MegaZone to cook it. And for anyone wondering why it's just 3 3/4 pound and not larger, it's because it's a pasture raised chicken, so it doesn't have all the things that those larger chickens have in them, and that's the way I like it. So going to cook it on up, and so we're going to go over to roast. That's down one to roast. I'm going to keep it at 375, but I'm going to up the time to an hour and let it go for an hour at 375. Oh, and I didn't do MegaZone, but it did hold my settings that I had already set up before I hit the zone. That's cool. So hitting start with that. Going to go ahead and let it roast for an hour. Then we'll check it out and see what we have. That was a fully thawed chicken there. So we'll let it cook up. And oh, I forgot to mention, I seasoned it with some Old Bay and some ranch seasoning and some extra light olive oil, not to be confused with extra virgin or regular olive oil. Doesn't taint the flavor or anything, but holds up the heat well. So we'll let it cook and I'll bring you back. Alright, it's been cooking for about 46 minutes, and the way things smell, I just want to check it out. I'm just thinking, you know, maybe it's done already. So we're going to go ahead and check it out. I got the thermothin here. It looks done. So, got the pause. Yeah, about that pause button. It's very close, 156. It's almost there. You go ahead and keep going with it. I'm going to give it until there's just 5 minutes left, so 55 minutes total based on that, and I'll check it out in a little bit. Alright, 55 minutes, going to hit the pause. Check it out. 168, 170s. Yep, real hot over there. And I do know well about carryover. Over 800 videos on this channel, reviewed over 80 cookers. I'm very familiar with it. It's just not something that I prefer to do. So, to each their own. I'm going to go ahead and just, I guess, turn time down to 0 so it can at least do its cool down routine for cooking that long. I guess it doesn't need it. But that's our finished chicken there. So I'm going to give it about maybe 10 minutes to reabsorb juices and cool down a little bit. And then I'll bring you back. Alright, I had to hit the start pause again, and then it started to cool down after that long cook. So that's all it needed. It was still on pause. But I'll bring you back in a moment after this has had some time to rest. Alright, I've given things time to cool down, reabsorb juices some. I've got the door open so that things cool down in there so I can clean it out. I'll talk about cleaning in a moment, but you can see the chicken. I mean, it's top down heat, so of course it got some blackening. And although this cooker has some foil, I'm not a fan of using aluminum foil in my cook, so I'm not putting, I'm not about putting any foil on top to try and make it look pretty or anything. I'll just enjoy it as is. But just going to cut a little piece off here. You can see the meat there. You can see the meat in the chicken. But I'm going to thank God for this and take a bite. Make sure it's not hot. Okay, it's juicy, tender, turned out very well. It did a good job roasting that chicken, no doubt. 55 minutes, roasted chicken, turned out well. I like it. So it did a good job at roasting. Going to talk about cleaning now. For cleaning, basically all the pull-out accessories are dishwasher safe. So like the basket, the divider, the crisper trays, they're all dishwasher safe. The unit itself, of course, you don't want to put in a dishwasher. But to clean it, and really, I don't put any of these parts in the dishwasher. I wash them all by hand myself. These things last longer when you wash them by hand, and I think the odds are lower of rubbing off that coating when you wash by hand. Keep in mind, the parts underneath are aluminum. As I said, do your research and you'll know why I'm cautioning you about that. But basically, I wash by hand. I use just a wet soapy rag, and I wipe things off. Then I use a wet one and wipe things down and just let them air dry, or you can dry it off if you want to dry it off. But pretty simple hand cleaning. I mean, it is a non-stick surface, so you're not going to have a lot that's going to stick on there anyway, because it's got whatever coating that is there. So, usually these things aren't hard to clean, and that's why they use the stuff that they use to begin with. So, pretty easy cleaning, pretty simple. Don't use any, like metal pads or anything that's abrasive or anything that, could scratch a delicate surface. If you're going to use like maybe a plastic like pad or something, that's okay, but don't use anything that's going to potentially scratch it up, because again, you scratch it, you take away that coating, and then underneath is your aluminum. So be careful with the cleaning. Alright, so I wanted to make sure that it was clear when I said that the pull-out accessories are dishwasher safe. That includes the basket. They say the basket's dishwasher safe too. But let's talk about the warranty now. The cooker comes with a 1-year limited warranty, and it has, I guess, what is now seems to be Ninja standard, where they'll pay to get the cooker shipped to them for repair, but for you to get it back, you have to pay them a fee of $20.95, and that's subject to change. So It may not be $20.95 when you make the call if you have to get repairs, but just keep that in mind. And so basically from what we saw here with the cooker, it did do everything that it was tasked to do. And that's the understanding that it's a basket air fryer. Of course, it's not an air fryer oven. And you can see here on the channel some versatile things that you can do with different cookers and see how some things turn out different ways with different cookers. There's tons of that here. Like I said, over 800 videos, so plenty to enjoy. But I did want to mention that nothing in the video is sponsored, nothing given to me, nothing sponsored or given to me in any of my videos, no freebies, no sponsorships, none of that. Pay for them with my own money at the store, like you. But there are ways to help the channel. There's my blog, superwaveovenrecipes.com. That's superwaveovenrecipes.com. There's buy me a coffee link there in the video description. There are links to things like the Amazon shop where you pay the same price for things but help the channel. There's also things like memberships and ability to donate there in the video description. So ways to help out there. And so with all of that said, if you did like the video, please do give it a thumbs up, share the video with a friend, leave your comments, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification icon, and good eating.